What's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a friend's house that they thought was normal? When I was like 10 or 11, a new kid moved into our town and started at our school. I was always super nice to new kids because I moved a bit and changed schools a bit. I knew how hard it was. We made friends and he had me over for a sleepover. He decided to show me a Polaroid picture of his mother having sex with a dog. I was just like, WTF dude, let's play Nintendo. My childhood best friend lived with his grandparents. His grandfather was a clockmaker. He mostly restored them. Their large 2-story house's walls were covered in old restored grandfather and cuckoo clocks. Each one had a small sticker with a number so he could keep track of them all. The highest number I saw was over 700. I would say 25% of them were wounds, so every hour you were treated to a symphony of clocks. I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, but those clocks were fantastic pieces of workmanship. This happened when I was like 6. I needed to use the bathroom at a friend's house and he led me to his parents' bathroom. The place was filled with crap of all sorts. Boxes, magazines, an inflatable pool, lots of other stuff. You could barely get in there. He pulled out a drawer from the installed cabinet by the entryway and said to pee in there. I thought he was joking until he went ahead and peed in there himself. I couldn't argue with that, so I too peed right in there. Then he shut the drawer and we went and played more Ninja Turtles. I have no idea what became of that drawer house family. Saw my friend spit in her house, straight onto the carpet. I didn't go back. When I was a kid, the neighbor's TV was always at 75% volume or higher. They'd literally sit in the living room and scream at each other over the TV on blast. My partner's friends do this but with music. The dad always has the music on full blast so everyone has to yell to have a conversation. I hate going to their house. Also, I hate having them over because, since they have to yell at home, they talk that way all the time. They're just super loud all the time. They're really nice people but I can't stand being around them. One time I was at my friend's house while his dad was working late. His mom brought home 2 Little Caesars pizzas for us, his brother and his parents. By the time his dad got home from work, there was no pizza. So his dad just made himself a salad for dinner and no one got screamed at until they cried. I have an opposite one because I had the weird family. In high school I had a sleepover and one friend went to the kitchen in the middle of the night and saw my dad inebriated, in his underwear and stained shirt. On his knees in front of the fridge drinking mustard out of the bottle. Monday rolls around and the rumors have spread and I was like, wait. All your dads don't do that too? Lol BTW, he did in fact have his own separate mustard bottle. I had a friend in high school whose mother was from Jamaica. His family would cleanse together every year. I guess it was customary from his mom's culture. So literally they'd take medicine to make themselves shit their brains out for a day or two every year. Notable mention, they only had one bathroom. My Caribbean mother's just been shitting herself hollow. Jamaica? No, she took the laxatives herself. Friend's amputee grandpa demanded to watch everyone in the bathroom when they went. He had a mirror so he could watch you. When I didn't fall for that, they put shampoo in my hair so I'd have to take a shower. Noped the F out and called my mom. Friend didn't think it was odd. Edit, I think my FAQ edit didn't save. 1. Did I tell my mom? No, I did not. I felt embarrassed about it. 2. Who put the shampoo in my hair? My friend did. 3. I am a woman. And here's some random information. I remember my friend's dad having to piss with the door open so the grandpa could watch him do it. I also remember the grandpa pissing into a jug in front of everyone. I also remember crying and saying I wanted to go home and they wouldn't let me call my mom, so I kept crying until they finally gave in. A neighbor's dad was an avid fisherman and he would use these electrode things in the lawn to get worms to come up that he was gonna use as bait. He would also eat some of the first ones to come up, to check if they tasted right. If not, he would remove the electrodes and try again another day. My friend had 9 siblings. Whenever I was there and we ate, he always told me to protect my food. He literally covered his plate by surrounding it with his arms. His brothers kept stealing food from the younger ones and their parents didn't do anything to stop them. It was just normal. Serve ice cream with their hands. Crime. When I was 9 or 10 I stayed at this friend's house for the first time. So we were sitting at the kitchen table eating noodles and his mom said something, to which he screamed back at her, "Get fricked, Sharon." She didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't even care. I couldn't help thinking what would happen if I tried that at home. It would have been at least an ass whooping. Everyone took their shirts off at the dinner table. Yeah. My friend got backhanded across his kitchen. He slid across the floor to me. After about a 5 count, he got up and we went and played chess. His mom walking around topless barking a chore list while we just sat around the coffee table working on homework. She was a single mom working multiple jobs. They were latchkey kids. They didn't even bat an eyelash, but the minute she saw a new face sitting on the rug boring a hole into the distant wall, she shifted on a dime. Ducked into the mudroom, threw on her bra and work shirt, and brought out a carton of Oreos from a secret stash and was pretty much shocked into silence. I think she was terrified I'd misappropriate it to my parents, but all we cared about was cookies. A roughly 4 feet long python roaming free around the room at a gathering with guests. Snack was chill as frick but still. One of the first times I met my husband's family, I was over at their house and husband gestured for me to sit down and be comfortable. Their house was really very cluttered. Not quite hoarder cluttered, but close. They had a couple of couches facing each other and then some other chairs. Not knowing the rules, I sat on one of the couches, which had a lot of stuffed teddy bears on it. OMG, you would think I had sat down on live bears. There were probably 20 to 30 small, medium stuffed bears on this couch. Husband's mother and twin brother both visibly reacted as if I had damaged the bears. Not antique bears either. That was when I was told that the couch was for the bears, and only for the bears, and that no one was allowed to sit on the bears' couch. Just the bears. The bears all had little beaded necklaces with their names on them to tell them apart because they were all the same brand and style. My friend's mom always gave me a box of food when I came over. One day as I left she just handed me a box of Hot Pockets. As if it was just a small trinket. Mountain Dew with pancakes for breakfast. The kids had Fritos for teeth. Went to friend's house as a kid. Sitting at the dining table for lunch. House phone rings. Everyone falls to the floor around me, including the mom and dad. I'm the only one left sitting there. The dad informs me that I now must answer the phone. Hello. Johnson's house. I hold the phone out to the dad. It's for you. Everyone laughs. I am so uncomfortable. The next time that phone rang, I was the fastest to the floor, I can tell you that. Such a fun-loving family. Loved going around there. In 6th grade I would go over to my friend's house. Her mom was very sexual. She would hardcore make out with her boyfriend on the couch in front of us kids. She once showed me a picture of a basketball team and said she dated every one of the men in that photo. The worst part is how she would rub her fingers against their little Yorkie's pee-pee and say, "Do you like your willy dilly rubbed?" Goddamn you op for unlocking this memory. Went to my friend's house after a high school exam. Walked in and his dad and stepdad were playing sorry. While smoking cigars, and his mom was making out with some random dude on the couch. She gave us $20 and told us to go get a couple large pizzas and come back. I don't know what was weirder, that my friend was like, "It's not even my dad's week with me." All incredulous, or when we got back that his dad and makeout dude was gone, table all set for pizza. And his stepdad and mom acted like it was just a normal Wednesday. A toddler drinking a wine cooler. The whole family was freaked up, but that stuck out to me for obvious reasons. I was only 18 at a party, drinking underage, and had no idea what to do when I saw that. I made a comment about how little kids probably shouldn't drink alcohol, but the kid's mom got scary defensive about it. Went to a friend's house that had dog shit all over the floor. Roaches by the thousand, including dead in the microwave and freezer. And to make matters worse, they had a healthy dose of bed bugs too. His excuse was he's busy from working all day. This guy was a hairstylist too. Yikes. I was maybe 12 and visiting a friend who lived deep in the woods for the first time. They had 2 outdoor dogs, and one got free and ran over and attacked the other. The dog that got bit was quite a bit smaller and was definitely injured. My friend's dad came out with a pistol and shot both dogs. It changed my life forever. I was raised in a house where dogs are family. My friend and his family didn't seem fazed at all. When I was like 10, I had a friend that had a room that was just filled to the ceiling with trash and they just started playing in it and shit. Kinda the opposite. Had a friend over when my dad went on a tirade screaming and yelling at my brother and I. We thought it was normal to have emotionally abusive parents. After that, that friend never came over again. I went to his house. And his parents seemed a bit more interested in me. By the time we graduated high school, I got my diploma and walked over to hug his parents before my own at the ceremony. When I was younger, I was best friends with 2 brothers from Jamaica. One of the days they asked me to stay over so we could play some Atari after we finished playing outside. We came home 12 minutes after their curfew, so their dad, who was extremely calm, told us to sit in the living room. I sat in there with my 2 friends and they were super quiet, which was a bit weird until their dad walked in with a belt and beat the living shit out of them. I shit myself, not literally, because I thought I was in for a beating, but he didn't hit me, which was a huge relief. After the beating, their dad, asked if I would like some carrot juice while my friends just went back to normal and set up their Atari like nothing happened. I was sat on the sofa wondering, what the frick just went on? Had a friend whose family lived on a huge property and kept cows for the property tax exemption. Not odd. He told me to come by and get some purple ringers he collected for me. Invited me in to meet his parents, and I swear to God, there was a full-size cow chilling on one of their couches in the living room. That sight was way more wild than any of the hallucinations later experienced. Really nice people though, lol. I saw the mom of my friend laying on the couch and her other son was petting her women bits with his foot. And it wasn't the right kind of playful. It was very sexual, and the look on both of their face was like right before a porn movie. My friend and I were right there and nobody batted an eye. In fact, she started to give me the same look. Me and my friend were 15 and his younger brother 11. Dad was cooking meth in the attic. He was a scientist and these were his science experiments. My friend and his older sibling thought nothing was strange about this. I was 13 and knew it was a meth lab right away from the smell, cat piss. They taught us that neat fact in the DARE classes in school. I babysat for a family on occasion and the kids would always ask for a cool cup and I had no clue what it was. They asked for them constantly but were too little to really describe them enough for me to understand. I mentioned it to the mom in passing one day and she started laughing and cut the tops off of some bell peppers and took out the seeds and then filled the peppers with tap water. The kids went nuts over them like there were treats. It was really weird to me that drinking water out of bell peppers was a thing to beg for on the regular. 6th grade. Sit down at the dinner table with friend, his dad, mom, bro, and sis. Dad just casually put some hardcore porn on their big screen TV, when nobody had one really and they were enormous, while we're all just eating dinner. Doesn't skip a beat as he goes right back to his plate. That friend is now famous. Not my friend, but her ex-boyfriend. He and his mom were very touchy to a point that it made everyone highly uncomfortable. His mom hated my friend and made a point to be touching her son constantly. I even watched him to try and kiss his mom on the lips in front of everyone and on another occasion, she pulled him into her lap. He was 17. Dude had a carpeted bathroom. Already freaked up. Dude had freaking mushrooms growing out of the carpet. I shared a house with a bunch of people who regularly set their farts on fire. I don't know why. They just did. Even when they were not drunk. This appeared to be normal behavior for them. I had a friend when I was 13 to 14 whose family didn't speak at all when they ate dinner. The first time I ate there I tried to make conversation and got a super weird glare and shake of the head from the mom. After dinner was done everyone would just go back to doing whatever. I remember thinking at the time while I ate in awkward silence, why would anyone want to eat like this every day? I come from a family of 8 where dinners were chaos, so maybe I was conditioned too far the other way. They let the dogs and cats into the basement to go to the bathroom even though they had a fenced-in backyard. The whole house smelled, even the kids when they went to school. I celebrated Christmas with my high school girlfriend's family one year. It was her mother's turn to open her presents and she opened one from her daughter, then one from her other daughter, then finally one from her husband. Then her husband started pulling tiny hidden gifts for his wife from everywhere, earrings from the couch cushions, necklaces, bracelets, a bag of candy, and flowers. He had at least a dozen presents hidden everywhere, from behind the curtains, in a lampshade, behind the TV, in a closet. They just kept coming and he had the biggest grin on his face. When he was done he wished her a Merry Christmas, told her he loved her and kissed her right on the mouth in front of me. It was wonderful but extremely weird to me. It wasn't until that display of love and joy for his wife that I realized I had never once seen my own parents act the least bit affectionate towards each other. That I had never heard them say I love you to each other. That's when I realized it was my family that was weird. It wasn't until that display of love for his wife that I realized that it was manly to be romantic and to show love and affection. Her parents were wonderful people and I will always regard them as role models. I hope they're doing well all these years later. In 2nd grade my friend's parents were separating and the dad kept screaming at his wife through the phone. The kids acted like it was normal, but I was freaked out. I'd seen parents argue but not lose all respect for each other. My mom told me the next day that I was to call her if that happened again. She thought it close to becoming a domestic incident. My house, but looking back it's unusual. My dad was a doctor and it was not uncommon for him to take a patient's blood on the way home and store it in the fridge next to the orange juice overnight. Then take it to work the next morning. Can't do that these days of course, but the 70s was pretty wild. When I was in junior high, I went over to a friend's house for the first time. His parents were hoarders and their basement was waist deep in newspapers, magazines, junk mail, catalogs, phone books, and other loose papers. You had to crawl over it to get to his room. He acted like it was no big deal that the papers were higher than the couch or that an avalanche happened every time he opened his bedroom door. That was the only time I went over. Not scooping cat litter. I mean, I'm sure it eventually got scooped but rarely. Their house always stank but they didn't seem to notice. My friend's dad convinced the kids that the butt of each loaf of bread was the best. He also outlawed hitting, but placing your hand on your sibling's shoulders and punching your own hand was acceptable. It was Noel's turn to get the end piece on the next loaf of bread, but he and I were playing when groceries came in. When Tony took the end piece Noel went ballistic, but by ballistic, he placed his hand on his brother and was punching it. The father also collected pipe organs. He had several electric and electronic consoles. One time I took a trip across the country, disassemble a full pipe organ, and pack it home. They bought a geodesic dome and rebuilt the organ inside it. You entered in pipes, there were pipes on the walls, great chests for the living room floor. The living room was a console and they literally lived inside a musical instrument. One of my best friends from college's family watches QVC and other channels that are straight up commercials all day long. Lol. My friend who's Australian like me, has parents who emigrated to Australia from Scotland. She speaks with an Australian accent. I visited her parents' house with her and she started speaking with a Scottish accent. I was like, WTF are you doing? Found out that's just how she speaks with her parents. In high school I would stay at my friend's house a lot and play video games and sleep over. My friend's mom would encourage his little sister and her friends to put on skimpy outfits and try to seduce me and his other friends, take their tops off in the hot tub and things like that. His mom would stand at her bedroom window and watch her daughter try to bang all his friends. I didn't get it at the time, but I secretly think his mom was the one who wanted to bang all of us, so she told her daughter to instead. His mom would also drink a bottle of wine and touch us inappropriately, touch our stomachs or slap our butts, and say things like, "Oh, have you been working out?" And my friend would just say like, "Cut it out, mom, you're embarrassing me." The whole family was weirdly sexual and I learned later they had some dark secrets. My friend's mom told him to masturbate later today, just casually, like it was a regular thing to say to your kids. He was just like, "Yeah, sure." A friend of a friend in college didn't realize you were supposed to masturbate when you felt like it. Instead, he'd schedule time like once a week in his calendar to remind himself to masturbate. I had a buddy in college who was a very anxious and nervous person. He had a first date with a girl from class coming up and he was panicking. So we told him that he should go ham clean the pipes before the date to help ease his nerves. And come to find out that this 20-year-old dude had never masturbated before. And basically he tried once, but couldn't get the hang of it and was embarrassed and uncomfortable, so he never tried again. He was saying that maybe he was doing it wrong. So we asked him how he did it and he described something along the lines of making a kind of claw with his hand and trying to frick his fingertips. Like this. And we're like, "Well, there's your problem." And explained the more standard grip. He left after a bit because I think he was a bit embarrassed and stuff. Then like an hour later he comes back. He walks in with a swagger and attitude that I've never seen before. The most relaxed face and a tiny smirk on his lips. And we all instantly knew that he had released years and years of built-up tension and pressure. From then on, the guy was chill AF and actually wound up dating that girl from class for several months. Shit was wild. Not at my friend's house, but we were 15-year-olds and went for a walk to her mom's friend's house to get her some smokes. We walked into the house and the 2-year-old was covering themselves in margarine. The floor was covered in roaches, animal poop, used nappies, diapers, and rubbish. There was peanut butter on the walls and kitchen table. It was so incredibly sad to see dirty and disheveled kids living in that. The weirdest part was seeing the toddlers smearing margarine in their hair, and no one caring. The rest was disgusting, but I'd seen that kind of living before. Never the complete indifference towards a baby though. Awful. Their dad swimming naked in their pool when they had friends over. He would often do it when girls were over. I had a friend in HS. We're still friends today actually. His mom was a hoarder. There were little pathways throughout the house, but it was filled, from floor to ceiling, with junk. In the hallway to the bedrooms, she had stacked every newspaper she ever got. They were tied up in bundles. When you walked in that hallway he would caution to not touch the papers because if a row fell, it would take a couple hours to dig yourself out. They had a huge outside trash can in their kitchen. A friend of my ex-girlfriend lived with her grandmother. The woman had cats. Lots of cats. And there was shit all over the house. And there were flies all over this shit. It was horrible. Went to this girl's house in primary school. I'm ashamed to say it was because I felt bad that she was getting bullied at school, and in hindsight she had a learning disability. She was nice though, just sometimes said really uncomfortable things for an 11-year-old. Anyway, she had a 3-year-old brother and I saw her mom reading a book titled How to Be a Good Mom or something similar. She started screaming at this toddler for not vacuuming his room and referencing the book. I was like, "Ma'am? You expect this infant to vacuum his room?" To be fair, he did end up doing it, but mind blown. Their family had a really weird dynamic. My friend's mom kept bread in the glove box of her car for when she got hungry. He thought it was hilarious also and we gave her a pretty bad time about it. In 6th grade, my first ever sleepover, I went to the bathroom and came out to him blasting porn in the living room, and I had never seen porn before. We watch it for like 10 minutes and he says, "I'm so horny, I gotta jack off, bro." Then he started cranking his pee-pee right there in front of me and I was shocked. The video was some fat dude cucking another guy and making him cry. I'll never forget that. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button for more videos.